In this video, we will cover how to record a presentation slide. To get started, make sure that you've got all of your slides in your presentation ready, and then what I would also recommend is use the notes feature on the bottom part of the screen just to add some notes in. This can be a full-fledged script with what you want to say, but it can also just be bullet points. There are pros and cons to both of these approaches. I quite like using bullet points just because it sounds a little bit less robotic, but sometimes a script can be really good just to make sure you do hit all of those points, or if you need to say something in a certain way. Once you do have your notes ready, simply head to the record tab, and from here there's lots of different settings. Now I have recorded something on this slide before, so I'm just going to clear my recording, and then I've got some options from what I want to record from. I always recommend using start from current slide just because it picks out that current slide, and from here you'll see that we have the PowerPoint recording. From here I've got my notes there, and I can also just enable and disable my microphone. You'll want these enabled just for the purpose of recording this video. I've just deactivated them so we can go through this together in a second. But as you can see, my slides on the screen, I have my notes there, and there's just a few extra options just to check before we get started. First is to make sure you're using the correct microphone and webcam. I'm on a laptop, so I've only got two choices to use anyway, but if you're on a mobile device, maybe you're on a PC with lots of different inputs, just check to make sure you know which device is connected. Additionally, you can enable and disable your microphone along the top. I always recommend to have your microphone enabled, and it's up to you if you have your webcam enabled or disabled. To get started with the recording, simply hit the big red button, you'll get a nice countdown, and then you just go from there. And you just read your slides. So I've got my notes there and I'll just read that. When I'm done, simply hit the red record button again, and that pauses the recording. To listen back to my recording, I can press the playhead on the PowerPoint slide and listen back to that. If I do need to retake or redo my recording, simply hit the circle with the arrow in, and I can reset my recording from there. If I do want to do any sort of movement, I do have a laser pointer. I can also scribble on my PowerPoint if I wanted to add some quick notes that informs the user what I'm talking about as I'm going along. So imagine sort of that PowerPoint, here's this thing that I think is really cool, I'm going to talk about it, and I can use my laser pointer from there, or draw or scribble, and then I've got an eraser to erase that too. When I'm ready to move on to my next slide, simply hit the arrow in the bottom left, that progresses to my next slide. As you can see on mine, I've already done a recording, but to simply remove that, hit that circle with the arrow, redo the slide, and go from there just like I did the previous slide. I can always return back to PowerPoint by hitting edit, but let's say I'm done, I'm going to hit export, and to export this out into a video format, simply hit browse, and this will allow me to locate an area where I want to save my project. I'll press export, and that will save straight away to that area.